The sun of Xiran Prime was low in the sky, casting long orange shadows across the gleaming towers of the imperial city. The wind carried a faint hum of the energy grids, a sound that had comforted generations of Xyrans. In the palace, high above the city, King Korath sat on his throne, his hands resting on the smooth, metallic arms, but his mind was not at peace. Something was wrong. His daughter, Princess Lyra, had been with him that morning in the hall of ceremony, greeting ambassadors from distant systems. She had smiled, her silver hair catching the light, and laughed at some joke he could barely remember. And now she was gone. At first, Korath thought it impossible. There were layers of security, wards, and patrols throughout the palace. No one could simply walk away unnoticed, yet the sensors confirmed it. There was a hole where she had been, a gap that should not have existed. The alarms for a moment had not even rung. The king's gaze turned toward the vast observation window. Beyond it stretched the city, vibrant with life and energy. People moved along the floating walkways, unaware of the worry brewing in their king's heart. He clenched his fists. No one should be able to take his daughter from him. No one. "Korath," said a voice, calm but tense. It was High Advisor Emrath standing beside the throne. "Our scans confirm it. She is not in the palace, not on any nearby ships. Not in any sector we monitor. It is as if she simply disappeared." Ships from countless sectors were ready to respond, but he paused. He could not simply send soldiers to search. This required subtlety. "Open all channels to the Horizon Quadrant," he commanded. "Every scout, every explorer, every trader in that space, find her." But even as they scoured the quadrant, the sense of unease grew. Something was unusual about this disappearance. Meanwhile, far from the palace, Princess Lyra opened her eyes. The world was strange. She was lying on a flat, hard surface, surrounded by walls that shimmered with a light unlike anything in her home. The air smelled metallic but not unpleasant. "Where am I?" she whispered to herself. Her voice felt strange, small against the vast silence of this place. She rose carefully, looking around. The space was narrow, with panels and glowing screens she had never seen. A figure moved in the distance, not like her father, not like the palace guards, shorter, with different skin tones and simple clothing. Lyra froze. The figure turned, startled, then approached slowly. "Are you okay?" the stranger asked, in a language Lyra could understand perfectly, though she had never heard it before. The words were clear in her mind, forming naturally. She realized she could speak back. I don't know where I am," she said, her voice trembling. The stranger knelt slightly, extending a hand. "You're safe. My name is Captain Mara. You were alone. We found you drifting in the nebula. Do you remember what happened?" The humans, they were unlike anyone she had met. Mara smiled softly. "Don't worry, we'll take care of you. You'll be safe with us." She realized that even though they were simpler, there was ingenuity here she had not seen before. Back in the palace, Korath was pacing. His mind raced through possibilities. Who could have taken her? Why were there no traces? He ordered a fleet to follow the signals detected near the nebula, but he knew in his heart that conventional searches might not be enough. "Father," Emrath said cautiously, "perhaps we are looking at this the wrong way. Maybe it is not someone taking her, but something else. Perhaps one of them has brought her here." She noticed patterns, the way humans solved problems without relying on raw power. They worked with their hands, with simple tools, and with intuition. She found herself admiring them. "Why did you take me?" she asked, after a while, careful not to sound accusing. Mara shook her head. "We didn't. You just appeared. We couldn't leave you there. I know you must want to go home, and we'll help you, but until then, you're safe. Rest, you'll need it. The journey back to civilization is long, and there are dangers out here we cannot always predict." "We must consider negotiating," Emrath suggested carefully. "Perhaps contacting the humans. They may return her if offered something acceptable. Perhaps clever enough to teach even an alien king a lesson." On the ship, Lyra began to ask questions. She wanted to understand how they traveled, how they navigated the stars, how they survived. Mara explained patiently, showing her charts and engines, pointing to stars and constellations. Lyra listened, fascinated. For the first time, she saw humans not as simple creatures, but as beings capable of brilliance and bravery. The hours passed. Lyra explored, learned, and rested, while Korath's fleet approached the region of the nebula. Sensors detected faint signs of the human ship. He narrowed his eyes. Soon, he would see with his own eyes how humans had managed to touch his daughter. Night fell on Xiran Prime. The city lights reflected off the clouds of the upper atmosphere. The palace was quiet now, but inside, Korath sat again on his throne, thinking. He felt a mixture of fear, anger, and curiosity. Lyra was out there, beyond his reach, and yet alive. That was something to be grateful for, something to build hope on. And somewhere in the nebula, Lyra looked out at the stars and wondered what her father would say when he found out she had survived. She did not feel like a princess in need of protection anymore. She felt capable, aware, alive. The humans, with their simple tools and clever minds, had shown her something new about the universe, and perhaps in time she would show them something too. Korath did not yet know that his daughter was learning lessons that even he could not teach. Lessons about courage, ingenuity, and the strength of the human spirit. The galaxy was vast, and the first threads of a story that would test kings and civilizations alike were just beginning to weave. The humans aboard the ship Horizon's Edge moved with quiet efficiency, but the tension was thick. Lyra sat near the observation deck, her silver hair reflecting the soft glow of the panels. She watched the stars outside, remembering the palace, the golden halls, and the calm certainty of her father's presence. Here, among humans, the world was different, unpredictable, chaotic, yet filled with energy she had never known. Captain Mara glanced at her crew. "We need to reach a safe system before we can contact anyone. The Xyrans will not let this go unnoticed." Her voice trembled slightly, but there was no fear in her eyes. She had survived the disappearance. She had survived this new world. Mara nodded. "We'll handle it. Stay calm." Sleek hulls glimmered with energy shields, and the ships moved with a precision that spoke of centuries of advanced technology. Lyra had seen the Xyran fleet before, as a child. Even from a distance, she could feel the power they carried. Korath's flagship appeared first on the scanners, massive and imposing. From within, the alien king watched his fleet close in on the human ship. His face was a mask of anger and concern. He had never encountered humans directly, yet he had observed their movements for decades. Bold, reckless, unpredictable. That was what made them dangerous. "Prepare for intercept," Korath commanded. His voice resonated across the fleet. "Do not harm her. I want her returned unharmed, but show them the power of the Xyran Empire. Make them understand who they face." Even under pressure, they worked together, thinking quickly, improvising when necessary. She felt a surge of admiration. The Xyran fleet closed in. The first ship fired a scanning pulse, and the humans barely dodged it. The pulse did not harm them, but it revealed their position to the fleet. Lyra flinched as the ship rocked. "Hold steady," Mara said. "They want to scare us, not attack, yet." Its energy shields glowed, and Korath's voice boomed through a direct channel. "Princess Lyra, return to me at once," Korath said. His tone carried both authority and concern. "Do not test my patience. Do you think you can defy the Xyran Empire and hold her? Do you not see the danger you place yourselves in? These humans have helped me. They mean no harm. Please do not attack them. But return to me now. No one else may hold you. Your choices have consequences." Mara showed her the engines, the navigation systems, the communication arrays. Lyra was fascinated. Unlike her father's technology, which was vast and perfect, human technology was simpler but flexible. Humans adapted, built on mistakes, and found solutions quickly. "Why do you not have shields like the Xyrans?" Lyra asked. Mara smiled. "We do what we can with what we have. Our strength is not in perfect power, but in thinking and working together." Reports came in. Humans had evaded multiple scanning pulses, used the nebula's interference to mask their position, and remained calm under pressure. Even Korath had to admit silently that this was impressive. "Perhaps," Emrath suggested cautiously, "we underestimate them. Their technology may be simple, but their minds, they are unlike anything we have encountered." On the Horizon's Edge, Lyra joined a strategy discussion. Mara and the crew were debating their next move. "We need to reach safe space before we can send a message to the Confederation," Mara said. "If the Xyrans follow us, it could be dangerous." "I can help guide you." Time and again, humans and Lyra outmaneuvered the aliens without firing a single shot. Korath, watching from his flagship, felt a mixture of frustration and pride. His daughter had grown strong and wise beyond her years. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but they were proving themselves clever and capable, and his daughter had become their guide. Hours passed. The Horizon's Edge emerged from the nebula undetected. Lyra looked at the stars, feeling a sense of accomplishment. She had learned, adapted, and survived. The humans had trusted her, and together they had outsmarted a fleet that dwarfed their own. "Father would be proud," she whispered softly, not of defiance, but of the lessons she had learned and the courage she had discovered within herself. Mara placed a hand on her shoulder. You did well. Today, you learned what humans can do when they work together, and you reminded us all that courage and intelligence matter as much as any weapon. For a moment, the fear and tension melted. They were far from home, facing a fleet of powerful aliens, yet they had succeeded not with strength, but with wisdom, cooperation, and courage. But Korath's presence still loomed. He had not given up. His fleet continued to track them from a distance. Lyra knew that their journey was only beginning. The galaxy was vast, and the forces aligned against them were powerful, but she had confidence. Humans were clever, she was clever, and together they could face what was coming. Night fell across the horizon's edge. Stars sparkled like jewels outside the observation deck. Lyra leaned against the panel, feeling a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. She had survived her disappearance, learned from humans, and even outwitted a portion of her father's fleet. The universe was full of danger, but it was also full of possibility, and Lyra was ready to face it, not as a frightened princess, but as someone who had seen what courage, ingenuity, and trust could accomplish. Korath's voice came over the comm channels again, though quieter this time. Princess Lyra, your actions have surprised me. I will not forget them. But know that the galaxy will test you further. Be ready. They had survived the first encounter with the Empire, and the lessons of today would guide them through the challenges to come. The adventure was far from over. The galaxy was watching, and humanity was proving that even the smallest, simplest beings could shine brightly among the stars. The stars stretched endlessly before the horizon's edge as it moved silently through the uncharted sector. Lyra stood on the observation deck, her silver hair catching the pale glow of distant suns. She had grown accustomed to the rhythm of the human crew, the hum of their engines, the soft chatter in the corridors. Still, the galaxy held dangers she had never imagined. "Princess, we need to talk strategy," Mara said, stepping beside her. Her voice was calm but serious. "The Xyrans are not going to wait forever. They will catch up eventually. We need a plan for when they do. You and your crew are clever because you think differently. You adapt. You do not always rely on force or rules. That is your strength. They will try to surround us using a wedge formation," she explained. "They will rely on sensors that are tuned to detect conventional engines and shields, but your ship is small, flexible, and unpredictable. We can use that against them. We can use the nebula's interference, combine it with sudden maneuvers, and force them to react, not act. They will waste energy trying to predict us. Their caution is their limitation." The Xyran fleet drew closer. Sensors picked up multiple vessels converging from different directions. Lyra and Mara stood together, studying the displays. "They are testing us," Lyra said. "They will send one ship first, see how we react. If we respond as they expect, they will increase the pressure." Its energy shields glowed brightly. A scanning pulse swept the horizon's edge, and Jalen barely managed to dodge it by adjusting the ship's position at the last moment. Lyra pointed to the display. "Now, move into the nebula's interference. They will lose track of us momentarily, but do not stop moving. They will try to predict our path." The clouds of charged particles distorted sensors and communication signals. For a moment, the Xyran ship lost track of them entirely. "They are confused," Lyra said. "Good, keep moving." Each move was calculated, unpredictable yet safe, exploiting the human strengths and the aliens' reliance on predictable technology. Time blurred. The crew worked in harmony, trusting Lyra's guidance. Even Mara, the captain, found herself impressed by the princess's insight. Here was someone who had been trained in one of the most advanced empires in the galaxy, yet she could recognize the power of human ingenuity. "They think they can corner us," Lyra said quietly. "But they do not understand that humans can change tactics instantly. Watch how they waste energy." Their formations faltered, ships fired scans that returned nothing, engines worked overtime to adjust positions, and communication links became congested. Lyra smiled faintly. For the first time, she felt a thrill she had never experienced in the palace. "They are clever," Mara said softly, almost to herself. "I have never seen them like this. But not invincible. Every strategy has limits. We must be careful. If we overextend, we could be caught." She realized that even the most advanced technology had blind spots, weaknesses that clever minds could exploit. Suddenly, an alert sounded. A massive Xyran ship emerged directly ahead, blocking their path. Its engines glowed with an intensity that made the smaller ship's shields flicker. "They want us to stop," Lyra said. "They hope we will panic. Do not. We can't go back. Their fleet is behind us. We have to move forward." "Yes, but it is the only way. Trust me." Energy pulses from its engines were redirected by the nebula, giving the humans a narrow window to pass. The crew held their breath. Time seemed to slow. Lyra's instructions were precise, clear, and calm. Every move mattered. Every second counted. And then, with a final adjustment, the horizon's edge shot past the massive ship, disappearing into the depths of the nebula. The Xyrans tried to follow, but their sensors failed to locate the smaller, agile vessel. "We did it," Jalen whispered, almost in disbelief. Lyra smiled faintly. "Yes, but this is only the beginning. But know this, the galaxy will continue to test you. Humans may be clever, but they are not invincible. Neither are you." Mara placed a hand on her shoulder. "You did well. Today we outsmarted a fleet that could crush us, but we must remain careful. Korath will not give up easily." Lyra studied the human methods, learning quickly, and even suggested improvements that made the ship's performance better than it had been before. "They are not just brave," she said quietly to herself. "They are brilliant in ways my father never taught me. This is what makes them strong. We survive, adapt, and think our way through danger. You've learned it quickly." Somewhere beyond the nebula, Korath's fleet continued to move, powerful, relentless, and patient. The game was far from over. Lyra knew that. She also knew that the humans had shown her the value of creativity, courage, and adaptability. "Tomorrow," she whispered, "we face them again, and we will be ready." The horizon's edge sailed onward, carrying humans and a princess who had survived the impossible. The galaxy watched, vast and mysterious, as clever minds and brave hearts prepared for the challenges to come. Lyra's eyes sparkled with determination. She would not be a passive participant. She would learn, adapt, and lead. And together, humans and she would prove that even against the mightiest forces, courage and intelligence could shine brighter than any weapon. The adventure was far from over. But for now, humans and Princess had survived, and in their survival lay hope, lessons, and the first taste of triumph in a galaxy that would challenge them again and again. The horizon's edge glided through the vast darkness of space, the nebula behind it casting ghostly shadows across the hull. Lyra stood on the observation deck, her eyes tracing the faint glimmers of distant stars. The humans were tense but focused, every crew member alert. They had survived the first encounter with Korath's fleet, but they knew this was only the beginning. Captain Mara gathered the crew in the main control room. "Listen up," she said, her voice steady. "We cannot keep running forever. Korath's fleet is patient and relentless. Sooner or later, he will force a confrontation. We need a plan, and Lyra here is going to help us. Every misstep for them is an advantage for us. They can't anticipate everything." Lyra suggested using the ship's communication arrays in a new way, sending false signals to confuse the fleet about their true position. Mara agreed, impressed. Humans were simple, clever, and resourceful, and Lyra had quickly learned to combine their strengths with her own knowledge of alien tactics. Finally, the moment came. The sensors detected the fleet forming again. This time, Korath himself led the approach, a vast armada stretching across the dark void. His flagship glowed with authority, massive enough to dwarf anything the humans had ever seen. Lyra's heart beat faster, but not with fear. With the humans at her side, she felt prepared. The first Xyran ships moved into position, scanning pulses sweeping over the horizon's edge. The humans dodged and twisted through the currents of a nearby asteroid field, the sensors picking up each obstacle and Lyra calling out precise adjustments. Every move was a test of speed, intelligence, and teamwork. "They expect us to panic," Lyra said calmly. "But we won't. Keep your focus. Move as one." Lyra noticed the Xyrans reacting exactly as she predicted. They adjusted formations, overcompensated, and expended energy in trying to anticipate movements. "Good," she said. "They are struggling to adapt. Don't waste energy firing. Let them make the mistakes." Lyra guided the humans in using the environment, gravitational eddies, asteroid clusters, and even interference from distant stars. Each time the Xyrans thought they had found the humans, they discovered empty space. Korath, observing from his flagship, frowned. His fleet was powerful, his technology unmatched, yet the humans evaded them. His daughter, Lyra, was at the heart of this strategy. She was clever, resourceful, and fearless, and he could not help but feel both pride and frustration. "They are clever," he said to Emrath, "but they are not invincible. Prepare for a decisive move. We cannot let them escape again. Any sudden strike could put her in danger." "They are trying to trap us," she said. "We cannot go forward or back. We have to create our own path." Then we will slip past them using the shadows and interference. One of the larger Zyran ships had anticipated part of their maneuver and fired an energy pulse that grazed the horizon's edge. Sparks flew along the hull and alarms blared. "Damage control," Mara shouted. "Jalen, shields, and hull integrity. We have a small window, don't waste it. Every move must be sudden, unexpected. We do this together." The crew cheered quietly, relief washing over them. Lyra allowed herself a small smile. They had survived again, not through overwhelming force, but through intelligence, teamwork, and adaptability. But Korath was not finished. His fleet adjusted, new ships moving in from different directions. He observed his daughter, noting the clever maneuvers she had orchestrated. "She is not a child," he said. "She has learned quickly. She may even surpass some of our expectations. Prepare for a new strategy." Every plan accounted for the Zyrans' potential reactions. Lyra realized that the humans' greatest strength was their ability to think creatively under pressure, a strength no technology could replicate. Hours passed. The fleet pursued them relentlessly, but the horizon's edge remained elusive. Lyra guided them through narrow asteroid fields, over gravitational eddies, and across interference zones, all while keeping the crew coordinated and focused. Finally, Mara spoke, her voice filled with awe. "You've changed the way we think about strategy. Even I am learning from you, Lyra. Humans and I, together, can survive what seems impossible." Korath, aboard his flagship, observed the smaller vessel fading into the distance. He clenched his fists. His daughter was clever, resourceful, and brave, and she was teaching humans things he had never expected. Yet he could not allow her to remain with them forever. She was his daughter, and he would see her return. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers, opportunities, and lessons yet to be learned. Lyra understood this now more than ever. She had survived the impossible once, and she had learned from humans that intelligence, courage, and adaptability could rival even the most powerful forces. The horizon's edge sailed onward, carrying humans and a princess who had grown stronger with every challenge. The adventure was far from over. The galaxy would test them again, and Lyra knew that the next encounter would be even more dangerous. But with humans by her side, she felt ready. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, a canvas of possibility. Lyra's heart was steady, her mind sharp. She had learned that survival was not just about strength, but about courage, cleverness, and unity. And together they could face anything. Korath's voice came again over the comm channel, quieter this time, almost thoughtful. "Princess Lyra, your actions continue to surprise me. I will allow this reprieve, but the galaxy will not be so patient forever. Be ready." The horizon's edge moved silently, stars streaming past like rivers of light. Humans and Princess had survived another encounter with a fleet that dwarfed them, not with weapons, but with courage, intelligence, and unity. The lessons of today would guide them through the challenges ahead, and the galaxy would soon learn that even the smallest, cleverest minds could shine brightly among the stars. The adventure was far from over. But for now, Lyra and the humans had survived, and in their survival lay hope, strategy, and the first true understanding of what it meant to be unstoppable, not through force, but through ingenuity, courage, and heart. The horizon's edge glided silently through the void, its hull reflecting distant stars. Lyra stood on the observation deck, her eyes fixed on the horizon. The humans around her moved with quiet determination, preparing for what they all knew was coming, the final confrontation with Korath's fleet. "Princess, are you ready?" Captain Mara asked, her voice calm but firm. "This could be the toughest challenge yet." "I am," she said. "We have survived every test so far. We have learned from each other. We are ready to face whatever comes next." Lyra moved among them, offering advice and encouragement, her mind sharp, her focus unwavering. Somewhere in the distance, Korath's fleet approached. The Zyran ships glowed with the cold light of power and precision, massive vessels moving in perfect formation. Korath's flagship led the armada, his presence commanding even without words. He had observed his daughter, watched her grow, and seen the humans adapt in ways that surprised even him. Yet he was resolute. Lyra belonged with him. She was his daughter, the heir of the Zyran Empire, and he would not let her remain with humans forever. Lyra studied the approaching fleet. She could feel their strategy in the movement of the ships, their reliance on formation and precision. She also knew their limitation, unpredictability. Humans could adapt, change, and create opportunities where none seemed to exist. That was their strength, and she intended to use it. Mara broke the silence. "Sensors show the flagship leading the main attack. Lyra, what do you suggest?" Part of the fleet will think we are heading one way, while we slip past using the nebula currents. The flagship will follow the wrong path initially, giving us an advantage. Once we are clear, we will use the environment and our speed to force them into mistakes. But if we stay calm, think clearly, and act together, we can survive. And we can show Korath that humans are more than he expects. The humans adjusted the ship's course continuously, using every current, every gravitational twist to mask their movements. Lyra's directions were precise, calculated, yet flexible. Every move was designed to exploit the Xyran's reliance on predictable patterns. The first wave of Xyran ships fired scanning pulses, energy arcs that illuminated the darkness. The horizon's edge twisted, dodged, and slipped through gaps that the massive ships could not reach. Lyra guided them through the currents, her mind anticipating the Xyran's reactions. "They are overextending," she said. "They think they have trapped us, but they do not see the gaps they have left. Then we take advantage." Suddenly, a massive pulse of energy erupted ahead. One of the Xyran ships had anticipated part of their path, firing in a straight line. Sparks flew along the hull, alarms blared, and Jalen shouted for emergency repairs. Lyra remained calm. "Adjust trajectory slightly, use the asteroid as a shield. We have a small window, do not waste it." The ship tilted, twisted, and slipped past the energy pulse unscathed. Lyra breathed a small sigh of relief. They had survived once again, not with brute force, but with intelligence, courage, and teamwork. Korath observed from his flagship. His expression was unreadable. He had seen his daughter in action, guiding humans, making decisions with precision and confidence. She was no longer a child. She had become a strategist, a leader, and yet he could not forget that she was his daughter and he would not lose her. "Prepare the flagship," he commanded. "I will handle this personally." Korath spoke directly to Lyra through a secure channel. "Princess Lyra," he said, his voice carrying authority and warmth. "You have shown courage and skill. I am proud of you. But this ends now. Return to me. I will not harm your human allies, but you belong with me." She knew what she had to do. "Father," she said clearly, "I will return to you, but not because you demand it. I will return because I understand now that strength comes from courage, intelligence, and trust. Humans have taught me that. I hope you can see it too. Prove your lesson to me." The flagship moved to intercept, but Lyra anticipated its path. "Use the environment," she instructed. "Force them into the currents. They cannot turn fast enough. We will slip past." Lyra guided them through a narrow gap, and for a brief, breathtaking moment they were free from immediate danger. The humans cheered quietly, relief and exhilaration mingling in the cabin. Lyra smiled, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. They had faced overwhelming odds, navigated a superior fleet, and survived through intelligence, courage, and unity. Korath watched from his flagship. He had expected raw power to dominate, but instead he saw strategy, creativity, and heart. His daughter had led humans to success, showing him that even the smallest, simplest beings could shine brightly when guided by courage and intelligence. "Perhaps," he murmured, "I underestimated them. Father will want proof that we can survive together, and that humans are more capable than he believes. I have learned from them, and they have learned from me. Let us meet, not as conqueror and subject, but as allies who understand the value of courage and intelligence. But know this, the galaxy is vast, full of dangers and challenges. You and your humans must remain vigilant." They had faced one of the most powerful fleets in the galaxy and proven that courage, ingenuity, and unity could triumph over raw power. Mara placed a hand on her shoulder. "You did it, Lyra. Today we all learned something important. Humans can survive anything, and you've proven that. And I've learned that even a princess from the most powerful empire can grow by trusting others, by learning, by working together." She was a leader, a strategist, and a student of courage and intelligence. Korath's fleet gradually withdrew, giving them space to move. The king had seen the value of what he had once dismissed, human ingenuity, courage, and adaptability, and he had seen his daughter grow, not just in skill, but in wisdom. Lyra turned back to the observation deck, looking out at the stars. "The galaxy is wide," she whispered, "and we are ready for it." The horizon's edge moved forward, light streaking past as stars became rivers of possibility. Humans and Princess had survived the impossible. They had proven themselves not through weapons, but through heart, mind, and courage. The galaxy had learned, as Korath now understood, that even the smallest, cleverest beings could leave a mark on the cosmos. Lyra's eyes sparkled with determination. She had faced the impossible, learned from humans, and proved herself to her father. Together, humans and Princess had survived, and they were ready for whatever the universe would throw at them next. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, and for the first time, Lyra felt truly free. The galaxy was theirs to explore, and with courage, intelligence, and unity, there was nothing they could not face.